nice outfit.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, Tonka. Yeah, I had a bit of an argument with him about Antifa. You know, it seems that every argument I've had lately has been about Antifa.
Of course, you know this means war.
A little bit of background history here, going back in time. I first came across Antifa back in, I think it was 2003. There was a big march in London against against the war in Iraq. I was very pro the war in Afghanistan. I think that Afghanistan should have been dealt with back in the 90s, but the march was basically because people didn't want us to get involved in Iraq, which makes complete sense to me now, and I wish people had been listened to, because it was a complete mess, massive waste of money. Britain got barely anything out of it, and it was pretty much what created ISIS. So I was in London. I wasn't really with anyone. A lot of people went with like whole groups, but me, I just wanted to be there because I had strong feelings about not wanting to get involved in like a Vietnam type war, you know, an unwinnable war. And in the end, Iraq turned out to be an unwinnable war because whenever they dealt with one group of extremists, another group of extremists would come and fill the void, till you ended up with the Allied forces pulling out because they realised it was an unwinnable situation, and it was basically just a complete balls up from start to finish. Not enough money was spent.
If you're gonna go with a big
it was stupid, basically, getting involved. But I saw firsthand Black Bloc and the Antifa. Amazingly, there were even anarcho-capitalists who I think they just turned up to protest because, you know, everyone else was doing it. There was about 1 million people there. Quite a sight to see, about 1 million people protesting. And they were from all, like, ages, you know, there were children there and all sorts. Some schools let their kids go to this thing, big march. And the Black Bloc people seemed to be breaking things, which made me a bit, I'm not going to hang around there because I don't want to get arrested, you know. Not that I was dressed in black, which is usually the sign, but it did interest me for a while about anarchists and what the motivations were, and, you know, how pointless the whole thing seemed to be. But I came into contact with them. I came into contact with anarchists again a couple of years later, because I work in the transport industry. If they're travelling into London or something, they're going to need to go on the trains, and that's my job. But so my experience of them is that they're mostly just a bunch of gobby teenagers, and a lot of them are teenagers. Anarchism is there's even a pop music version of anarchism. That's what punk music is. And it is attractive to a teenager that you know, lots of adults don't really understand it anymore because, you know, you become, the older you get, the more civilised you get, and the less that you're going to want to be getting involved in a situation that will bring about the end of government, because when you're older you realise that if there's no government, people might say that they're going to be a good person, but they're not. You know, it's one of the things that really destroyed faith for me was how some people thought that, you know, especially if someone's in a dock and they have to swear to God to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. In some cases, they would lie because they didn't believe in God. Which,
Nice. Did your mommy make it for you?
bloody Joker droids.
Tell me if you've heard this one before.
Yeah, say that, you bastard. Oh, there's one. Aha.
Molly likes me best, you know.
Whoop.
She does not, does so, does not.
My character Blood Debts is actually loosely based on one of my favourite B-movies that I discovered. Discovered it through Red Letter Media. It's a pretty terrible Filipino-made movie from the 80s, and it's sort of riding the coattails of the whole Death Wish idea, except for it's so ridiculously made that you know. So I love a lot of B movies because they're usually so terrible they're brilliant. Let's see what I can lose. Delete. I'll switch up weapons because my character here is multi-weaponed. I've got arrows, guns.
The X's over the I's.
But in the film Blood Debts, he uses a lot of different weapons. He uses an absolutely ridiculous bazooka at the end of the movie. But anyway, I was getting completely off topic.
I could show you the formula, but then I'd have to kill you. Well, actually, I'm gonna kill you anyway. But you get the idea.
Yeah, that alley woman definitely doesn't look like Harley Quinn. I think she's got it into her head that she looks like Harley Quinn, but she doesn't. Too curvy. I can't really think of a comic character she reminds me of. Well, after having the conversation with her, probably one of the psycho female characters.
Step right
But
up and get your
I'm not going to talk about her anymore.
sandwich.
I'll talk about Tonka. Tonka and me, we kind of had. Well, really, I was answering a Ian Miles Chong conversation, and I've been told by Vamp and Ali, not Ali, it's a bloke I work with, Vamp and Tonka, that I should talk to him because, you know, we'd probably get on better if we spoke together. I do find that Twitter isn't really the best place to talk to people because, you know, sometimes people say things that they don't mean, or they get the wrong end of the stick, like the conversation I've had most of the afternoon. They get the wrong end of the stick. They believe that you're saying something you're not actually saying.
Mr. J'll get me out. Just you wait.
So,
thanks for the help.
never liked
Not
his
that I couldn't have
tights
gotten up on myself.
when they made the new Robin.
eventually.
Anyway, again, trying to stay on target. Oh God, the Joker.
But my puddin' is no joke. He has a dream.
Oh, skip it. Skip.
Always laughing.
I love
Harley's
this game,
heading to
but
Arkham. Head to the East End police station.
so I like
Gordon
a lot
will
of
be there
the
dealing with the
super
paperwork.
villains. I'm not a huge fan of people like the Joker. I think mainly why I don't like the Joker is he's just been so done to death. You know, you can have different fucking characters. You don't have to keep using the same fucking villains just because they've got some slight popularity doesn't mean that they're the be all and end all. Right, yeah, I've got to choose what I'm going to use. Let's try that one now. Sorry if I'm not following up. So Tonka, yeah, I had. He picked up slightly, and he does have a tendency to be a bit aggressive, but I was pleasantly surprised when I finally managed to talk to him that he wasn't aggressive at all, and it was quite refreshing. We had a conversation, and he was slightly leading, but I was forgiving that he was slightly leading because he did sort of have a point, which. You know, I'm okay with if people want to type lead me a bit. Right, yeah. So we had a conversation about. Well, actually, our first conversation was about all sorts of other stuff other than Antifa, but. He actually apologised to me, which was quite nice, because supposedly he's been having trouble with an actual proper left-wing Antifa bloke. He kept calling him racist, which I found a bit... doesn't strike me as a racist guy. You know, I know some... well, he's not even a member of the skeptic community. Unfortunately, he's been sort of around and interacting with people who are in the skeptic community, and it does cause a little bit of confusion. But yeah, oh, can't help you, young fella, my lad. You know, and sometimes I've even had reactions to people online thinking that they're sort of members of the skeptic community and they're not. And well, it's the same with atheists. There's been people I've spoken to who I thought were members of the atheist community and they weren't. And I was like, oh God, what, you believe in God? Oh, strange. Yeah. So it was really, it was a good conversation, and what was even better was afterwards I actually got to talk to Vamp, who I'd actually blocked because it got to the point where now if people are just, you know, going to fill up my page with insults and shouting at me, you know when an argument gets to a level when people are swearing and they're sort of saying intentionally mean things to each other, that it's not going to go anywhere. No one's going to, you know, it's not going to improve at all. It's just going to get worse and worse till we end up saying stuff that you can't forgive. So yeah, I thought she was going to sort of be yelling at me, and I'm not very good at dealing with argumentative women. It's a problem I've
Thanks
had
for the
because
backup.
years ago I was in a relationship with a girl, and
I hear you do good work.
and
Keep it up.
it turned very abusive.
We've all got to
And
unite
she
against
was
Brainiac.
both
Glad you're out
physically
there
and
fighting
mentally
for us.
abusive to me. So I've tried to avoid having. Well,
Now that Batman has part of the
not
toxin
that I'm
formula,
a fan of the
we're
word
one step closer to
triggering,
shutting down the Joker's insanity. Good work.
but I do try to avoid getting into arguments that are going to lead to. Well, lead to me being dogpiled as well, because the last time I had a stream with Tonka,
Anything
it did
in
turn into a
particular
little
you're
bit of
interested
a.
in purchasing today?
What I even said to him before, you know, on Twitter, because he DM'd me and said, you know, do you want to come on a stream? And I did initially say I was a little bit worried about being dogpiled, because I got a little bit after the last time, and I did have to block some people because they were just being mean. You know, I know that the Green Party isn't the super duper tough hardcore group, that they can appear to be a little bit wimpy. You know, because the Green Party are made up of a lot of people who are either students, concerned adults. You know, it's not UKIP. It's not going to attract people who are open to sort of slogging it out. You know, they're not Antifa either, which, you know, I'm not a fan of Antifa at all, because they go too far. So, I was initially a little bit. I wasn't scared, but I did say, you know, I don't want to be dogpiled again, because, you know, the previous time I was dogpiled, and a lot of it got to a point where it was sort of
launching an all-out attack on the new Special Crimes building in the East End.
I just didn't feel comfortable. I felt like I was being bullied,
so the station is an open target.
which I've had that experience before, because
I'll track down the Joker.
I have a tendency to not want to get into violent arguments with people, because it can backfire badly, and you know, I don't feel I don't want to feel bad and depressed all the time, which I did when I was being bullied, because people knew that, you know, oh, he doesn't answer back, he's not. He won't say things that they'll say, therefore we can rip the shit out of him and he won't react. And I bottled it up inside till it got to the point where I was being so bullied at work, I was accused of something I didn't do. I was told to not... where I work, it's two firms, so you know, one of them has more leeway than the other, and one of these managers from the other firm said, oh, you've got to go from this station, you've been saying things to so and so, and I hadn't, and it was a false accusation. And I couldn't defend myself. I didn't know enough people on the station at the time, and it got to the point where I became ill.
But you'll see,
I left you a little gift.
You know, I was mentally ill for quite a while, which is really why I don't like it when people say stuff like, oh, not taking meds, all that stuff, because I've been in the situation where I've had to take meds, and to mock that, it's like I don't like it when people do the thing, because I've had a lot of experience when I had my breakdowns with people with autism. Well, I've got autism. I didn't know I had autism, but you know, I just find it's there's being against PC culture, and then there's being a jerk. And unfortunately on the internet, especially YouTube, a lot of people nowadays get a pass for being a jerk and being mean and saying horrible things to people by saying, oh, well, I'm being edgy, it's because I'm anti-PC, and it's bullshit. It's them being basically an arsehole. So, yeah, so
the SCU are the best of
all over the place here, but
means only half of them
Tonka, he said, you know, I said, well, okay, I'll come on a stream, but later on in the day, well, no, it was a couple of days later. I was right at the tail end of a long shift, and I don't like doing streams if I'm tired, because I have a tendency to lose what I was talking about. I get forgetful. You know, it's one of the problems getting old. But you know, I'm more random than I am when I'm doing the talking myself bit. But so we worked out a day, and it turned out it was the day after his birthday, and he seemed in actually a really good mood, which was nice as well. And we started off talking about John Carpenter movies and
Joker's good.
I think it's blaxploitation movies, because I'm heavily into all sorts of B movies. But then we actually had quite an understanding, decent conversation, you know. We did tail it off with me trying to explain to him a utopian society, but I don't think I've convinced him, but I'm still a fan of the concept of a utopian state. But I know I haven't got all the answers, but if I had all the answers, I certainly wouldn't be doing the job I do. I'd be like the president of the State of Europe or whatever.
I thought I was done. Glad you came along.
But yeah, we had a really interesting conversation. That yeah,
Oh, did you expect
I really
that
enjoyed.
over the door? Now, where did I leave that door really?
Hopefully we'll have another at some
The
point.
solution will present itself.
But yeah, and I wasn't dogpiled afterwards, which felt good. I didn't, you know, I wasn't worried that that I was going to get loads of sort of hate. Still, I've got plenty of that today. Oh, dear me. Still, I'm a firm believer on these social platforms. I know some people say, oh, I never block anyone and all that, but really, when people get to a point where they're saying stuff and they're denying what they've actually said, and you've got it written up, and you're having to send it to them again in photo form to tell them what they said, and then they deny it. I'm like, well, what's that? But oh, Jesus Christ, so much crap.
I'm too old for this.
Still, I have got a backup Twitter. I'll probably use that for the next 3 weeks because I don't want to have all the hassle. Being taken out of context is another thing that really annoys me on Twitter. That and the assumption thing. I started following
cutting-edge targeting systems.
I can't remember what he's calling himself now, but he used to be Edgy Sphinx. Mainly because I'm not hate following, but some things about the alt-right do interest me, particularly when you've got people who are highly intelligent and then they'll be a part of the alt-right and you're like, what the fuck are you doing in the alt-right? You've got brains. But yeah, I particularly like it when the alt-right denies any linkage to people like Milo Yiannopoulos. I'm like, stop telling pork pies. We all know that you lot are all in cahoots with the fucking Breitbart and all that lot. But oh god, some of his followers, you get into a conversation with him, and then all of the broski boys come out, all of the real fucking idiot keck. You know, I'm not. Well, I don't even follow the keck stuff anymore because it got to the point where it was just ridiculous. It's so blatantly a right-wing movement
I'll check for
now.
more of them over here by the exit.
Get rid of that. Get rid of it. You know,
Going for backup.
some groups, you can at least argue that some philosophies at least have something sensible to say, but the alt-right, they just seem, they don't even know what they want to be now. It's quite funny with the whole oh, yeah, that seems to be a tunnel or something. How do I get in there then? Let's have a look on the map. Map.
Oh, I just remembered. The Joker is paying me to look the other way.
Oh yeah. Is there a switch or something? Ah! I hate it when you get puzzles that you can never work out. Let's see if I do it. Like climbing around. Ah, something up there, I think. Or I could be wrong. No. Not seeing it. Probably going completely past it. Yeah, this is my sort of Batman character. Ah, there you are. Whoop. Hey. Whew.
This is Gotham Now, and I'm Vicky Vale. Today, the GCPD launched a special crimes unit to specifically combat superpowered crime. Commissioner...
I love a good door explosion, don't you?
Ooh. Maybe I can get to kick the Joker's ass. Mr. J, you're gonna get your ass kicked. Yeah, got my weapons.
A wrap gift.
So, yeah, we had quite an interesting conversation about utopianism, and it sort of had a point. His point was about inspiration. What inspires you? What is your drive in life? If you have utopian society, you won't have a drive in life. I'm like, well, yes and no. In a utopian society where no one has to worry about poverty. This is my point. If everyone in society, well, in a utopian society, is equal, that they all start off at the same position, a bit like a race, and as well as having state protections like the right to medicine, the right to education, the right to living in a house. It could be prefab, could be anything, The point is you're out of the rain.
Glad you came along.
From that standpoint, you could have an inspirational life, but just not one based on the accumulation of wealth. And it's not a communist. See, this is where I often have arguments with people about communism and all that. That utopianism is actually a lot better than communism, because you would make the drive to be as much of society could be replaced with automation than with the current thing where people do jobs that are really boring, unnecessary. Well, we're already seeing the modernisation of work. All these self-service checkouts, all of the there's even self-service places like fast food.
Extremely energy efficient, despite its capabilities.
The only problem is we've still got a system where people need to earn money to have things like home ownership and rent and things like that, where if you switched it to a utopian society and made all of the necessities a part of, say, like the National Health Service, you wouldn't have the problem of people that actually have more of a drive to do things that they want to do for extra credit, and it would actually give a lot more people more meaning in their life, because lots of people do very dispiriting, boring jobs, not because they want to, but because they have to. know, I'm completely pro things like having a complete mechanised system for healthcare, because a computer's less likely to make a mistake than a surgeon. Yeah, so, you know, our conversation on utopianism was quite interesting. Not saying he emotionally blackmailed me, but he did coax out my... I'm not a complete 100% believer in everything. It's been one of my faults. It's one of the reasons why I really couldn't stick at being a Christian, when I knew that there were problems, there were elements to the whole philosophy that just didn't work, that were obviously man-made.
I should get myself arrested
Ooh,
more often.
Clayface, one of my favourites. See, there's a Batman villain I like. Certainly like him a lot more than bloody Harley Quinn and the Joker.
And end this mud fight.
Show me a good time. Think you're smart?
Oh, wrong way.
When I'm out of here, you're dead.
Let's get this computer. Oh, you swine. Actually, he looks more like the Clayface from
This is
the
Commissioner
DC
Gordon to all
animated
forces. The Joker's not going to take the
series
formation of this special crimes unit with a smile. But if he gets you with his toxin,
So actually,
you'll be
there's been
laughing all
quite a
the way to the grave.
few
I want all attendees at the Regal Hotel fully armed, and forces on standby alert for Harley Quinn, the Joker's
Really,
clowns,
female
or any other
Clayface.
craziness. Gordon out.
Lucius Fox note. The latest power armor is constructed around a complex skeletal mesh alloy.
But we had a nice conversation. I wish I could do a stream where we talk about wrestling, because it is one of my favourite subjects. Particularly Japanese wrestling has always been a favourite of mine. And after that, I had quite a good conversation for a couple of hours with Vamp. I explained to her why I blocked her, and I wasn't being malicious. I call it what's it called? The Pimp Monk X disorder. Because every time I've had a conversation with Pimp Monk X on Twitter, I've put in something that sounds completely reasonable, completely logical, sometimes a joke, sometimes a comment, and every time he's got the wrong end of the stick, and he's thought I was being a wanker, or I was picking on him about his weight, and I'm like, no, it's not that at all. There was a wrestler from like the 90s called Bison Booger, and Pimp Monk and him look almost identical, and I merely posted up a picture and said, oh look, you look like him, and he was like, you saying I'm fat? It's just like, oh no. So I basically explained to Vamp, it's Pimp Monk X. Every time I'd try and compliment him, he'd get the wrong end of the stick, and I'd be like, oh fucking hell. You know, when you don't want to upset someone, because I know that I can be a bastard to people who deserve to be a bastard. You know, I can be horrible to bullies and crooks, things like that. Like I was taking the piss earlier taking the piss earlier out of that evangelical bloke who kept his doors locked during the Houston floods. You know, I was doing loads of stuff like saying "Hail Satan" and all that stuff, just to get on his nerves, because I watched Jacqueline Glenn video about this piece of shit, and his excuse is why he kept everything.
Mission. The Joker is launching
everything
an all-out attack
closed.
on the new Special Crimes Building in the East End. Most of the police are at the launch celebration tonight at the Regal Hotel, so the station is an open target.
This shit.
You handle the Joker's clowns. I'll track down the Joker. Here's the plan. We'll divide forces and meet in the main ballroom, where the Joker is holding SCU's top brass hostage. The hotel is swarming with Joker clowns and loaded with Joker toxin. Get through as quickly as you can.
Sell off some of this shit. Get rid of that. Get rid of those. What else can I get rid of? So, yeah, we had a quite interesting chat about stuff. I initially thought that, you know, the end of the hangout, she'll want me to bugger off, because that's what normally happens. Even though I did have quite a good conversation once with the outspoken realist.
Anything in particular you're interested in?
I know he
purchasing
gets
today?
a lot of stick, but I find him quite pleasant. You know, I've met a lot more horrible people online, especially on Facebook, than he is. Some doofus. Stay there. I'm getting all yawny now. I need a cup of coffee. Oh, I saw a good film last night. I even did a what do they call it? A periscope. Did a periscope on it. It was called The Bodyguard, the Hitman's Bodyguard. And it was odd. It really reminded me a lot when I was watching it of Die Hard with a Vengeance. It had a it wasn't a complete like clone, but it was pretty close in sort of the concepts. Glowing plant suit, steam plant suit, full urban suit. Oh, dark blue aura. Oh, I'll take that. Alright. Let's need to go to shop to unlock the thing. Redeem the claim. Come on. Oh, I haven't. Dark blue aura. That's the one. Sorry, I've gone all quiet. I've got to unlock these. There we go. It's better. There he is, looking tough, looking mean. Looking like the Punisher. There's my pistols. Oh, there they are. Gloves. Whoa, what the fuck's going on? Gentlemen, please. No. Let's have a look around. Sorry, I've gone completely quiet. Yeah, so we had a really interesting chat. And I actually really enjoyed having the chat. I briefly, hello to Failure, who I really like. I like his hangouts because he seems very relaxed. Some hangouts have a tendency to go a little bit doolally because everyone wants to speak, or everyone is.
Here's the plan. We'll divide forces and meet in the main ballroom,
everyone,
where the Joker is holding SCU's top brass hostage.
Can't get a word in edgeways, or they
loaded with Joker toxin. Get through as quickly as you
say
can.
something, and then everyone will sort of dogpile them, which I've seen happen, unfortunately. It's so much a shame why me and the Ali woman fell out, because we had quite a good stream the other day, actually. I was sort of giving her links to a dirty limerick site. Still, sometimes you can't win. Women can get very strange. It's funny because she got strange with me before as well. And that time, she said, "Oh, shut up." And I shut up, and then she left me alone. But this time, I shut up, and then she wouldn't leave me alone. And then she wondered why the fucking thing got elevated. And I was like, every time, why you tweeting at me when you had a go at me about tweeting at you? For fuck's sake. If you go up to someone and you hit them in the face, don't expect them not to react back. I actually, in my direct message to her, I said that. I said, don't stop trying to walk all over me like I'm some sort of fucking vanilla cuck. I might have been that way years ago.
Remember, the people inside are SCU officers. Free them, and the better ones will help you
Before
take on Joker's
I
crimes.
had my breakdown, I used to put up with people being horrible to me, but I don't anymore.
Bang! This is my best suit!
Get me out of here! I'm not even on duty.
Oh, shit.
Joker's got a new toxin. I doubt he's wasted much of it on these presents, but be warned.
What did they put in the punch?
I did tail off. Actually, just trying to remember what I was going to say. I did tail off the name of this with other stuff. Because one of the other things that really's got on my nerves lately is this whole bullshit with Marvel Comics being PC. I'm like, so the fuck what? Because Mundane Matt was going on and on about it, and he had a tendency to sort of go hyperbolic over things that really fucking don't matter. The whole Marvel have gone PC. So what? They experimented. Well, supposedly they're not going PC anymore. They're dropping all of that PC stuff. So it doesn't matter anyway. But my argument's always been, whenever they've done big changes to comics, is, well, read the older comics then, you dumb fuck. You know, I wouldn't read modern Punisher comics after I read the Frankencastle series, because it was so ridiculously stupid. I knew that anyone who handles the Punisher today would get it wrong. So I just don't bother. I stick to my 90s, my 80s and 90s Punisher comics. You know, one of my favourites is the Punisher and Batman. Well, actually, there was two Punisher Batman comics. I just wish there was a Moon Knight Batman comic, because Moon Knight's one of my favourite Marvel characters. Mainly because he did. Well, I particularly liked him in the early 80s when he was dealing with street level crime, terrorists and things like that. Some comic characters, they're great dealing with supervillains and all that, but you don't want it all the time. Especially when it's someone who's a real sort of street level fighting character, like, say, Mad Dog's one of the ones I like. You know, if he's dealing with cosmic villains, it's a little bit ridiculous. And it's a Hal Needham movie. Oh, there's a reference that no one will get. Yeah, this whole shit, and some people are so over the top about it. I'm like, so what if the new Captain Marvel is, I think I can't tell if she's Jewish or Arab or what. I was like, oh, who gives a flying fuck?
Lucius Fox
it's a fucking comic. It's not set in the real world.
Advanced heads-up displays.
If they've all of a sudden gone all PC, so what? You know, there's comics of the past where they were definitely not PC. You know, there's a whole series of comics where where Batman carried guns and he killed people. Especially the early Batman, the 1930s and 40s. He was always killing people. I think it's just people don't like change. You know, I've heard the same arguments. Oh God, it is the Joker.
But who will crack first? My hostages or you?
Well, at least he looks like the Joker. He doesn't look like that one from
How nice of you to finally be here.
Arkham Asylum. That looked a little bit over the top and ridiculous. I still think the best Joker was Heath Ledger, but that's because they updated the character properly. switch weapons.
No.
Where's my mace? Hit him with a bit of wood.
Oh, whoopsie daisy!
Take that, you bitch!
Oh well, plenty more surprises where that came from. But let's not rush to the punchline. Get 'em, boys!
Hit me with a golf club.
Lucius Fox, internal memo. Congratulations, team, on successfully integrating the improved weapon systems.
This party's running out of gas! Let's liven it up a bit.
The Joker's releasing toxin into the room. I'll try to dismantle the canisters. You need to get the detonator.
There's always someone that wants to spoil everyone else's fun.
Come on. Need to regenerate my strength. Let's change weapons. Damn. So there's been all this bullshit. There was another big load of bullshit recently about Legends of Tomorrow, which I really like. It's DCWB. That, you know, as live action shows go, DC's actually far ahead of Marvel.
Such a crack up.
Oh God, it's gonna start again. Oh,
my
fuck.
hostages or you? Hello, Batman. How nice of you to finally drop in. Let's get the show on the road, shall we? Whoopsie daisy, oops! I dropped it. This party's running out of gas. Let's liven it up a bit.
Joker's releasing toxin into the room. I'll try to dismantle the canisters. You need to get the detonator. Nice try.
Back down. You're only making things worse for you.
I'm going after the Joker. Make sure Gordon gets out of here safely.
Thanks. You know, whether Batman admits it or not, he's lucky to have someone like you watching his back. I've got to get back to the station and see about cleaning up this mess.
Let me tell you a story.
Oh, piss off.
Scorpion from drowning in a river. Fucker. But as the bat carries him out of the churning, deadly water, the scorpion stings.
Here's the plan. We'll divide forces and meet in the main ballroom,
give a
where the Joker is holding SCU's top brass hostage. The hotel is swarming with Joker clowns and loaded with Joker toxin.
This is a weird bug with this game, that it'll actually repeat stuff that you've already used. Yeah, it will. Sometimes it will. Let's see. What can we have? I'll go with the boots. See what they are. Yeah, it'll give you the initial message. Oh God, no. Ugh. Bin that. Yeah, it'll give you the initial message and then it'll give it to you again. Sometimes at the end of the mission, you just thought, well, hang on, you've already told me that. Oh. Yeah, there was all this stuff about a female character appearing. Well, actually, she's a legacy character. She's initially she appeared in the 1970s. A character called Isis, as in the goddess Isis. She even had a previous TV show. She appeared with Captain Marvel on a TV show back in the 70s. It was like a kids' morning TV show. And I was like, well, yeah, but Egypt now is full of Muslims, because the character is Muslim in this version. And I'm like, well, yeah, she would be, wouldn't she? Because, you know, the Egyptian gods have been dead for thousands of years. No one in that area of the world believes in Isis, the Egyptian god, anymore. They're all Muslims.
For the backup.
And then what made it even more confusing was that it turns out that the initial report was trimmed down from the report that appeared in Variety. You know, and a hack journalist is basically, well, it was Ian Miles Chong who, you know, I find his stuff very hyperbolic. It seems very much like, don't want to be mean, but it seems to be very Fox News like, in that, you know, facts are rearranged about a story. TYT's guilty of it as well. They have a tendency to try and manipulate the...
Here's the plan. We'll divide forces and meet in the main ballroom, where the Joker
manipulate the
is
story
top
so it
brass
fits
hostage.
into a narrative
The hotel
they
is
already
swarming with
like.
Joker clowns and loaded with Joker toxin. Get through as quickly as you can.
So,
Here's
you know, I
We'll
don't
divide
like
forces
it when
and meet in the
people are
main ballroom,
dishonest
where the Joker
about,
is holding SCU's top brass hostage.
particularly a news
The hotel
story
is swarming
that's
with
to do with
Joker clowns
entertainment.
and loaded with Joker toxin. Get through as quickly as you can.
So, you know, I decided to check up on it and look actually at the original article, not the
in Metropolis.
article
Talk to
that
Cyborg
was
for more first-hand information, and I'll be back in touch.
about. And it's set in the 20... The main thing why it was so supposedly shocking was that someone involved said that, you know, it's slightly inspired by all of the hysteria that Donald Trump's created, but the universe they're in isn't ours. It's the you know, we don't have superheroes. You know, it just seemed a bit... That seems odd and stupid. As sort of an area
distributing
of,
equipment
at
to our
first, and
heroic
then
partners
when I
even more
read
than
more
desk
into the actual story, it made even less sense. So in the end, it sort of it fell apart for me. The whole argument
I
being
love
put forward,
distributing
because
equipment to our
really
heroic
it wasn't
partners even more than desk duty.
what the original argument was about. It was sort of like an added on point. Let's see, what else can we lose? You know, it wasn't being honest. It was sort of exaggerating the facts, which I don't like. You know, if the story itself isn't worth printing, then don't print it. Don't turn a story into something it's not, particularly when these things can get checked nowadays. You know, I've always been a fan of honest journalism. I don't like journalism when it's trying to be something it's initially not. Which seems to be something that's done a lot nowadays. Unfortunately, we live in a society today that, you know, a lot of people say ridiculous bullshit.
Thanks for the
Trump
backup.
can't offers reality. Well, even Trump does that. That whole thing about there being two sides to the argument. Which is twaddle. Bow. Be like arrow. You know, the whole conflation of a story to try and fit it into a narrative that's not actually in the actual story. I blame Fox News, and I blame the deregulation of media. I believe in freedom of speech, but I don't believe that the press should be allowed to print whatever they like, particularly when it involves people who can't really defend themselves.
Oracle here. In case you haven't heard, Brother Blood is inches away from raising the interdimensional demon Trigon, right here in Metropolis. Talk to Cyborg for more first-hand information, and I'll be back in touch.
Yeah, the news really needs to be the news. You know, you can have political news. I'm fine with that, but if you politicise every single story, it's dishonest, and it's not really putting forward the news as said. It's putting forward the news as narrative, and I don't like that at all. I find it contemptible. Try Chinatown. It's all Chinatown, Jake. Sorry if I'm yawning. I'll be on my late shift from Wednesday, so these videos may be at night time instead of day. But I'm definitely going to start. I've freed up some space on the hard drive for playing. Well, I need to play Syndicate. Assassin's Creed Syndicate first, because I'm actually borrowing that from a friend from work. But you know, if worst comes to worst, I'll just complete some of it and then give him back the game and buy my own disc of it.
Your soul belongs to God.
Also got the Witcher 3 Game of the Year edition, which I've got to start playing because I've been told it's very good. You know, and it's very big as well, and I like a game where you've got plenty of freedom of movement. Actually, talking about freedoms, I commented earlier and I didn't get a answer out of the bloke who put the initial tweet out. Wasn't really expecting any because me and him don't get on. He's a right-wing fruitcake called Dave Cullen, who also goes by the name of Computing Forever, and he talks a lot about stuff going on in the UK, but he's not a UK citizen. He's a citizen of Southern Ireland. It was quite funny recently. He made a big hyperbolic argument about how the BBC is too PC and political correctness is why we're going to get a female doctor for the first time in 55 years. And it was all bullshit because he's from Southern Ireland. He doesn't pay the TV licence. There's a subscription service to the BBC through Ireland, but that's not the licence fee. That's to subscribe to watch BBC programming. So, you know, really, it's like me whinging about the price of TV shows on Netflix, and I don't use Netflix. You know, I just think he's a fucking fruitcake. You know, he kept going on. He's made loads of videos about Brexit, about how wonderful Brexit is, but he's not part of Brexit. He's already part of the EU. Southern Ireland isn't. It's a member of the EU. It's not separate from the EU. Still, that was something else that was really getting on my nerves about Ali, and I should really stop talking about her. But it got on my nerves that she kept going on and on about how Brexit was wonderful and how all the Europeans are pussies and all that. I was like, fuck off. Fuck you. Europeans aren't pussies. Americans are fucking pussies. The British Empire was in India for 200 years, thereabouts. Americans couldn't last like 7 years in Iraq. Fuck off. Oh, America's the greatest country in the world. Really? Well, prove it. Prove how wonderful it is. I'm with Devon Tracy on a lot of this stuff. He says America's uncivilized, and in a lot of ways it does seem uncivilized, especially the gun culture thing. The gun culture thing is one of the reasons why I'd never live in America. I'm tempted, if I ever won the lottery, I'd love to set up an internet radio station, a bit like sort of Joe Rogan does, but maybe on a bit of a bigger scale. And you know, there are interesting places in America, but I wouldn't want to live there. I wouldn't want to live there because their welfare state is an absolute joke. The American health system it's like blackmail. It's not even sensible because it's reliant on these stupid, dodgy insurance firms. Government-wise, it's terrible. I actually was, I think I was talking with Tonka about that. I was saying about how the football point that they seem to, both sides seem to use it.
Oracle tell you
about
Trigon's
abortion.
sin demons? Brother Blood raised them, and now they're all over Metropolis, corrupting people and feeding Trigon's energy. We don't put a stop to this, Trigon will rise. And nobody wants that, trust me.
You will need all your courage for this fight.
The obsession with Cyborg
and the other Titans have already faced Trigon once.
Modern DC.
Now Trigon's power rises with each citizen corrupted by his sin demons.
He's such a boring character.
We must save these people and weaken Trigon's power.
You know, he's basically a machine. There's nothing original about him because there's plenty of DC
Need any
villains
merchandise to help with your everyday battle for freedom, truth, and justice?
Like Metallo or the Cyborg Superman. You know, it's not a new thing. I'll take that off. Yeah, but America looks good from the outside, but I've got a friend who works and lives in America, and he says it's not all it's cracked up to be. He said that the poverty would really get to me because he's seen it. He's seen the amount of people who are living in abject poverty, and he knows how upset I used to get whenever I saw homeless people. I'd normally go and buy them food. You know, even if it was just a burger and chips, I'd get them food because I don't like seeing people in pain. But you know, I just get sick of the ego that somehow America is this wonderful place when it's not. It seems to be very obsessed with self-advertising, but an advert isn't actually the object itself. An advert is a perception of the object itself, which is a big difference. You know, it's nice to watch the Avengers TV show, not the Marvel Avengers, and think that everyone in Britain walks around with a bowler hat on their head and sounds sort of like something from oh God, I've forgotten what the name of it is. That
This is
bloody
Lois Lane with Daily
TV
Planet
show
Live.
about posh
The goddess
people.
Circe is spreading occult
I
energies
can't
across
stand
Metropolis.
it myself, but my mum
But the
watches
Justice
it.
League's spell mistress, Satana,
No,
remains
it's completely
undaunted.
gone out of my head
She
what it's
confirmed
called.
that the Sentinels of Magic have secret
I
bases
just find
across
it
the world
boring, and
to
it's
keep
set-
Circe's
it's
power
set
in check.
before
As
World
she
War
says,
II.
quote, "The Sentinels still have a few tricks up our sleeves."
Set before World War II, and it shows that horrible world pre-World War II must have been like, particularly for people who are poor. It's something that I really don't like. Oh, I've already done this.
I've never stolen a penny before.
I swore to protect and serve, not loot and pillage.
Loads of money.
Money, baby needs a new pair of shoes.
The sin
Let's
of lust
kill it.
has spilled much blood over the ages.
Take the money.
Minion of Greed. That's something I quite like about this game. I'm hoping to convince Tonka to possibly play it, because it's such a great game. Create your own character.
What happened
here? Do all the missions. Ah, who's shooting me?
Everyone has You cannot stop greed!
Should have left us alone, hero. 99.
I swore to protect and serve, not loot and pillage. Hope I don't lose my badge for this.
Yeah, the main three heroes that you can use as template are Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and they cover the three different classes. You've got metahumans that are basically like Superman, Flash. You've got gadget users like Batman, Green Lantern. That's what my character is, Blood Debts. He's a gadget user. He doesn't actually have any superpowers. He's just, you know, he's good with the weapons. He's like the Taskmaster.
I swore to protect and serve, not loot and pillage. Hope I don't lose my badge.
Are you crazy? That's a lot of money!
Thanks for stopping me before it was too late.
Don't settle for less!
Hope I don't lose my badge.
You cannot stop!
It's the 90s kid says. Cool of the cave.
Should've left us alone, hero.
Actually, what really annoyed me recently as well, last night when I went to see that movie, because I wasn't initially going to see it, I was going to see something else, but it wasn't on anymore. Well, it was on, but it was a stupidly early time. So I was like, oh god, I'm not going to the cinema in the middle of the afternoon. It'd be nothing but fucking kids. I like going in the evening mainly because I don't like having to hear children. You know, I want to hear the movie.
Must be some
But then I watched some reviews of it. One of them that really surprised me was the BBC. There's a bloke called Mark Kermode, and on Radio 5 Live he does a programme where he basically reviews the movies out at the time.
I've seen majors infuriated when the last gen did not bend to their
he
will.
wasn't there. There was some whiny little bitch who basically completely slagged the movie off. You know, treating a popcorn movie like it's some sort of serious thing.
I'm a multi-millionaire.
Making a load of pedantic rubbish about, oh, wow, it said it was maybe that they were in Chelmsford or something, but it was filmed in London. Oh god, that's so important. You know, I won't watch movies in future unless they pedantically show which part of the bloody world they're made in. Oh, fuck off. What a cunt. But yeah, he was pedantic about that, and then he made a big deal about how unrealistic the movie was. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's a bloody action movie. So I put a slimy comment on, well, not slimy, a trashing comment in the comments below, but I was like, you know, fucking hell. What's the matter with people today? Can never be happy about anything. It's like the number of people who slag off Star Trek Beyond. And I really like Star Trek Beyond. I actually, on rewatching it, I think it's the best paced, the most fun of all of those rebooted Star Trek movies. You know, there's a lot of crap, particularly the second one, Into Darkness. I hated that movie because it basically pissed on the memory of my favourite Star Trek
You will
movie.
need all your courage for this fight. Cyborg and the other Titans have already faced Trigon once. Now Trigon's power rises with each citizen corrupted by his sin demons. We must save these people and weaken Trigon's power.
With that, before I'll get into the building and then I'll end the stream.
With each devoured soul, these gluttony demons feed Trigon the power he needs to pass through. Eliminate these demons and revert any corrupted citizens back to themselves.
Right, where's my guns? Get off me, you bastards! Oh, you fucking... Oh, you swine! Oh, I've got to go all the way back to the bloody... Ugh. Ugh. I should have had a little nap after my bath, but instead I checked my tweets and Ali was ranting and raving at me, all that shit, and then I got all upset and I did the stream. I did the stream basically to explain what the fuck I was talking about because she wouldn't let me get a fucking word in edgeways. And she kept taking everything I said out of fucking what it meant. Silly bitch. This is why I could never be a full-blown SJW, because I meet too many women who act like pieces of shit to me. I wouldn't take it. I'd put my foot down and say, stop being a bitch. You know, if it was a girlfriend, I'd put her across my knee and give her a good spanking. You know, I put up with all that shit when I was younger, and I was vanilla because I wanted to be nice. But sometimes you need to put your foot down as well. You need to be a man, not let a woman walk all over you. And I've seen plenty of women walking over men and bullying them.
We could really use your help. Those demons tore into this armored car. They didn't just take it, they ate it. Go rob your own truck, dirtbag!
I've never stolen a penny before.
Buttons.
We could really use your help. Those demons tore into this armored car.
Thanks for stopping.
They didn't just take it, they ate it. We gotta make them cough it up. I swore to protect and serve, not loot and pillage. Thanks for stopping me before it was too late.
Greed is eternal!
Hope I don't lose my badge. I swore to protect and serve, not loot and pillage.
You are mortal. Greed is eternal!
This is our fat loot.
I'm using completely the wrong weapon now. Let's get up nice and high out of firing range. Where are we? Weapon, weapon, weapon.
have left us alone, hero. You've got to Thanks for stopping me, but hope I don't lose my badge for this. I'll be rich.
Do something!
You must be some kind of socialist.
Greed is eternal!
Should've left us alone!
I'm a multi-millionaire. I don't need petty cash.
Go rob your own truck, dirtbag! Thanks for stopping me before it was too late. Hope I don't lose my badge for this.
You're a fool! Take the money!
It's funny, you can use a sword or you can use a shield. But you can't use a sword and a shield together. Which seems weird.
Socialist.
I swore to protect and stop me, not loot and pillage.
Go rob your own truck, dirtbag!
What happened here?
Are you crazy? That's a lot of money!
Mine!
Probably what's it making me tired is that I had some potatoes.
I've never stolen a penny before.
It's funny, the older I get, when I eat something big, I get very, very tired.
You must be some kind of socialist.
Yeah, I had a nice compliment recently when I told people I was 40. And they went, what? You're not 40? I was like, well, yeah, I'm 40. I think the reason why I haven't aged so badly is I haven't got any children, and I never smoked a lot. Smoking makes you age. It drives you out all the time.
Let's go away! Mine!
What do
Actually, I
you
better check my
want?
Twitter.
It can be yours.
Just in case someone says something nice. No, nothing. Yeah. Oh, this is quite funny. Some bloke called Reeb was making a trying to tail off things I'd said earlier, and well, I blocked him after he said that. I said if people are shooting at each other in the middle of the street during a riot, and they're not policemen, what happens if they misfire and hit someone who has nothing to do with it? And his answer: accidents happen. Intent matters. I'm like, that's fucking insane. That's why police don't open fire on fucking rioters. But they try and capture them and arrest them. What a fucking idiot.
Money.
Go away!
Mine!
I'm a multi-millionaire.
Really, the stream, I'd love to have a stream with Nightmare Fuel, because in many ways we're he's literally on the same wavelength as me. Him and oh Christ, what's his name? Oh, I've forgotten his fucking name. I'll have to look at it on my phone.
I swore to protect and serve, not loot and pillage. Hope I don't lose my badge for this.
Super Anonymous.
Thanks for stopping me before I don't lose my badge for this. I deserve it!
Oh no!
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, what is going on, people? Welcome to Supervillains Anonymous. My name is Stephen Michael Davis.
There we go, Stephen Michael Davis.
What happened to the petulant man-child? Where's my liberal insult? I'm kidding.
Stephen Michael Davis. He's really good. He's a libertarian, but he shares a lot of my views about government. I personally think that what America really needs is a lack of federal.
Go rob your own truck,
You cannot stop.
I think the whole federal system should be chopped right down, and it should be state-to-state government. Because I look at the American governments, and they're very much like different countries. You know, Texas is bigger than fucking Germany, but Germany, they have a separate government from France. Yes, they're European, they're in the European Union, but internal governance is done by the states. It's not done by the body itself, the body politic of the European Union. This is what really aggravates me, when people don't know what they're talking about and assume that the EU is somehow a government in itself. It's not. It's a partnership, much like the UN's a partnership. It's about the free movement of people. It's not really about dictating laws. It has an oversight, which I'm in complete agreement with, because lots of countries have very bad oversight, like the UK. I'd be completely pro having, especially the current government, a bunch of jokers we got in charge, having them overridden on lots of policy, especially policy to do with the poor, which I find a lot is very cruel. A lot of it also doesn't work. It's a very baggy and badly run system. You know, if we had something like global government, which I'm quite a fan of the idea of. I'm a fan of the idea of global government, because it would be better for dealing with natural disasters and many of the problems that the globe has today. Well, that's something that Trump is going to have a lot harder. A lot harder problems trying to sweep under the carpet is global warming now, because you know, it's pretty damn obvious that what's happening at the moment in Texas. It's definitely not a natural occurrence. Oh, that was pretty cool. Hey, got quite a good look there. You're right. Let's switch to pistols. It's weird. I've unlocked a suit that's like a cowboy suit, but there's no cowboy pistols. Well, we live in an imperfect universe, as the Doctor would say. Oh.
Giganta once wanted to possess my own body. Now Circe must have promised her Wonder Girls. Knowing Giganta, her greed and impatience will lead her to rush the ritual. Go carefully. A mistake could condemn them both.
Circe's beasts are at my command. Challenge me and die, mortal.
Can't believe it's September already. That's another weird thing that seems to have happened recently. Is I think it was because winter was so long last year. I completely lost track of lost track of what year it was and everything. It's quite strange when you know, all of a sudden you realise that it's sort of most of the year's gone. So I've got a lot of on my plate work-wise because the firm I've been working for, they lost the government contract as part of the privatisation. So the firm I've worked for since 1999 has basically no longer exists as my boss, which is a very strange feeling. You know, I still don't know anything about what's going on in the firm. I'm just working.
We defend the peace.
But actually, one of the areas of it that I'm mixed about is if they offered me redundancy, would I take it on? Because I've been working for them like 20 years. If I took redundancy, that would be about 20 grand, which is about the same amount of money I earn for like 1 year's work. But it's you know, I'd have to focus more on what is going on in the country at the moment, really, to decide. Because the current government is such a complete shit show. Really terrible. Just you scream at the telly terrible. They're not even effective. and they're trying to push through lots of laws that are really, really dodgy and badly thought out. You can tell they're badly thought out because the people who are running it, they're not really very capable of anything. You know, man, I look cool.
I will help you reach Wonder Girl.
Say that, you bitch.
To the station. We must stay on their trail.
I know you will reach her. We trust in you.
If only we had that utopian society I'll talk about.
You're too late. I have already begun the ritual with a few minor improvements. Now I will transfer my powerful mind into Wonder Girl's body, and the strength of the gods will be mine!
Ugh!
Oh, it looks like
what's happening? It's like you've got hooks in my mind.
It's working! It's working! I feel her power! Your body is mine! This body belongs to me!
Not anymore, it doesn't, thank goodness. Because there's no way I could pull my favorite jeans over your giant behind.
Bigger is better, Wonder Brat. Ditch your training rod. Find out!
Not a good idea to get me angry. When I get angry, I get elemental!
Confusing thing to say.
Since your group sessions in prison didn't seem to help, how about some shock therapy?
Yeah, I'll get this completed and then I'll finished my stream.
You're looking a little low on energy without your powers, Giganta. Have a little recharge. On me.
Let's see if I can take a photo. Yep. Clear. I'll have to watch that later. I like their shows called Supervillains Anonymous. Let's see. What's going on here then? Come on, phone. Great, my phone's playing up. I'll have to reboot the bastard. See if I can use my Kindle. Oh. Didn't hear that far. Oh. Right. Kindle. Enough of that. Yeah. Oh, what are you... Lamp. Oh, great. I put the tablet in the wrong way up. I got a shield thing for it that acts as a stand. I put it in the wrong way up. Right, come on! Oh, where are we? Oh, that's my finger in the way. I got the thing the wrong way up. Oh! Oh. Christ, it's 8 o'clock. Well, I'm going to end the stream there because, well, I've got most of the films that I like watching are going to be 9 o'clock, so I have to get ready. Have to get some coffee in me to keep my dozy head working. I've got to talk to one.
Back in my own skin again. You really don't appreciate how awesome your boots are till you walk around in someone else's. I'll take care of Big Bertha here. Thanks again.
I am the man. Right, let's leave something. Delete that. Yeah. Do I look cool or do I look cool. I think you look cool. Alright, let's get outside and end the stream. Right, there we go. Right, gonna press it. And I'll be finishing. And I'll be alone. Anyway, see you later.